without further ado, we may begin our special, slightly fun session that we're doing today. Thank you all for being here and joining this conversation about emerging trends and issues within impact communications. I'm Adam Lake. I'm one of the Impact Communications Institute's executive board members. And please do jump into the chat and share a bit about who you are to join us today. We want this to be interactive, so we're going to be having some initial Q&A with our two special guests, but we are going to be asking for your advice, gossip, questions, reactions, and thoughts as well. We're joining each other today from various unceded Indigenous lands and territories. I, for example, live and work in New York City, the homeland of the Lenape people, and while Brandon lives and works in Greater Birmingham, Alabama, the homeland of the Muskogee Creek and Shawnee people. And apologies if my pronunciation is bad. I blame it because of my British accent, which is terrible at names and places. I'm joined by two very special guests today who have bravely agreed to publicly rant about PR missteps. Yes, we're going to be talking about positive things you can do to make sure that you're getting your stories into the media and that those stories are impactful, but we're also going to have a little bit of a gossip about the things that are bad that we should be avoiding as well. And we want to hear your thoughts. So keep your thinking caps on so you can tell us your positives and your missteps as well. Tessa is popping into the chat the community guidelines to make sure that we're obeying all the rules or breaking the correct ones, whichever fits the discussion that we're about to have. And just before we go into the conversation, just to tell you a little bit about the Impact Communications Institute, if you're joining us for the first time today. So the Impact Communications Institute is a registered non-profit organization on a mission to use the tools of communications to drive positive systemic change. And you can find us at impactcomsinstitute.org. It's also a special day for us here at ICI. And before we wrap this session up at the end, we're going to be announcing some major news about ICI's next chapter as well. So that's the tease. And we'll be bringing on some colleagues later who's going to tell you a little bit more. But without further ado, let's bring on the guests. I'm grateful to Nadia and John, who are joining me today. Nadia is a writer, journalist, and photographer, and she is the deputy editor for EATR's Northeast region and EATR New York. She's on the Vox Media Union committee and is a member of the Asian American Journalists Association, with South Asian Journalists Association, the South Asian Journalists Association, and Online News Association. And John Koetsier is a journalist, analyst, author, and founder. He writes for Forbes, hosts video podcasts, including the Tech First with John Koetsier. And John, I don't know if I've turned you French there, so please correct my pronunciation when we hand over to you, and consults with tech companies around the world. So first of all, Nadia, let's go to you first. Are you feeling good about what you're about to be sharing with this group of people today?
I feel excited. Everything's off record, right? JK. No, yeah, it's, you know, it'll be fun. It'll be great. We all are people like this. It'll be awesome.
No, Nadia, you have to talk first and then say it's off the record later.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it. We've got journalists in the room,
right?
I can tell.
Right?
On background.
And John, are you ready to rant?
Well, I don't know about ranting. I'm going to have some fun and enjoy myself, and I hope everybody else will also. But yeah, I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't rant at too many people.
Well, we will see. The truth will out in this conversation. And I'm clearly in a room with no air conditioning. I'm sweating because of the heat, not because I'm nervous about what's going to come out in this talk. Right, first question to you both, Nadia, and then to John. A bit of a quick one here, but what, bringing it down to the most simple terms, what does and doesn't make you want to go and hit that delete button when something comes into your inbox?
Go for it,
Nadia. Over to you first.
I'll go first. Immediate deletes are pitches that clearly don't apply. So the majority of my job is writing about restaurants in the Northeast of America, mostly New York, but also Boston, Philly, etc. If you're pitching me stuff from California, automatic delete. I also I had been, I'll understand this too. I had been the editor of EATR Austin in Texas for like 11-ish years, but I moved back over a year ago. If you're still pitching me Texas stuff after I've said kindly that I don't live there anymore, that is an automatic delete.
The nostalgia doesn't get you?
The what?
The nostalgia doesn't get you.
I'll read it, but like, and see if there's any good gossip. But like, it's also like things like I wouldn't write about, or like that don't apply to like what I'm doing. I remember once I kept getting PR for a ballet company. Why? Why? I don't like, and just like very obviously not restaurant things. So those are like immediate deletes that like really clog up my email, honestly. But yeah.
John, over to you.
I can't compete with Nadia. Look at that background. Isn't that amazing? Nice art, colors. It's incredible. It's wonderful. So there's a bunch of things. First of all, anything super long. Like when I'm looking through my inbox, I'm in Gmail. And if I can't get what the pitch is in like the 7 words that fit in the preview there, you're in trouble, right? Because I may not have time to look at it. I may be going through and my finger is poised on the mouse right over the archive button. Yep, exactly. Right. So, you may not even get a shot really. So anything long is really, really challenging. I somehow, sometimes I get pitches for total weird stuff like Nadia mentioned as well, pop culture, which I hate. I mean, and so it's like, why I hate you if you send that to me. So it's totally irrelevant.
You said you weren't going to rant, and we've already used the H word.
Well, shit. Other thing is sometimes, I have declared email bankruptcy a few times. I've had 20,000 emails, 100,000 emails, and I've just said, screw it all, delete everything. And so, hey, I declared email bankruptcy. You had an amazing pitch. It was wonderful. It was incredible. It was well thought out. You spent half an hour with ChatGPT making it, and I just ruthlessly deleted it.
I have never heard that phrase, email bankruptcy, but looking
I
at my
trademarked it.
over 5,000 unread.
Cost you $10 to say it.
If it was $10 to do it, I'd definitely pay. We're going to go into some real specific detail, including things like the subject line and the format, there's HTML work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But before we do, I'd just like to hear a little bit more about yourselves, about how you got into journalism, just to understand a little bit more about you two as people, which I feel is going to be relevant to this conversation. So Nadia, over to you again first. Tell us your story.
Cool. Okay. So I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I was on my high school yearbook. I feel like that's what sort of started me on my journalism path. I was a writer, editor, designer, photographer, all that fun stuff. Come college, I was on my college newspaper as well, where we like basically created our school's journalism program at Eugene Lang College at the New School in Manhattan. After that, I graduated in the 2007 recession. So it was tough. It was tough out there. So I decided to go to grad school. I went to Emerson, studied print and publishing. Weird subject if you think about it now, but it worked. Interned a bunch of places, freelanced for a lot of places, eventually got my first media job as a photo editor of an event trade publication called BizBash. But while hustling, still writing for the All, RIP, Time Out New York, shooting for Spin and MTV Hive, RIP. A lot of these publications do not exist anymore, which is very sad. And then eventually, my husband's a writer as well. We met on the college newspaper. We got married young, and we decided we wanted to go live somewhere else since we've known New York for so long, and decided on Austin, Texas. My father-in-law lives nearby in Houston, good weather, et cetera, et cetera. We did it. I kept my job at the time. And that's really where I landed on my path to working at Eater. I met the then editor of Eater Austin at a party, started writing for her. She moved to LA and got a job at eater.com, and I became the editor of Eater Austin. So I've been with Eater ever since. That is and then eventually my goal was always to come back home to New York. My parents are still here. So then when Eater did their December 2024 reorganization, the company was aware that I wanted to come back. So they gave me a job at Eater Northeast. And now I'm back home.
And now you're back home, and you sort of went to Texas when there wasn't the tax benefits of going to Texas, then came back to New York. But you timed that wrong.
We didn't pay state tax for a really long time. So this tax return was a tough thing. I'll say that. So there's that at least.
Just one follow-up question for you before turning over to John as well. As someone that, like 20 years ago, I was a journalist and like many people decided to move into the communication space. And I'm not going to lie, at the time, like having job security was a big part of it. I was living in London where the pay was, if there was pay, it was incredibly low. Many people go into campaigns or they go into politics and other things. You, and also you, John, you stuck it out. You become a journalist. What gave you the strength to stay in that role?
Not getting laid off yet. That's legitimate. It's luck. It's
They
legitimate.
haven't fired me yet.
Love that. John, love to get your reactions, and also please tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into this game.
Hey, first of all, we need a fact check on this born in New York City BS that Nadia is talking about. I mean, she sounds like total default American neutral accent. I don't hear any New York in that at all. No Texas either. I don't believe anything she's saying. Just joking.
It's Long Island. That Long Island. It's Long Island like a New Yorker. That's the phrase.
Yes, your story. You're sticking to it. Fine. So I always wanted to be a journalist when I was growing up. In fact, I had this romantic dream, I suppose. I wanted to be a war correspondent, dashing war correspondent across all parts of the world, getting shot at, blown up, but not quite. Anyways, so graduated from university and got into writing, but it was more on the commercial side, and then got into tech, built websites, apps, and a lot of other stuff. After about 10, 15 years, all of a sudden was kind of, had an exit, was looking for something to do, and started writing for VentureBeat in San Francisco. And I commuted to San Francisco for 3 years, every other week. It was insane. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. But I like to build stuff too. So Matt Marshall and I raised a little round of capital. We built a research division, grew it to 7 figures annually. And then, I was working 80-hour days, and I was like, who is my family? Where do I live? What is going on? Where am I waking up? And so I just took a step back, and I started building some other stuff and doing some consulting, but I couldn't not write, which is why I write for Forbes now. And I really, really enjoy it. I write about what I want, when I want, where I want, how I want. I hit publish and it's live. I don't have to talk to too many people like editors who are horrible, awful, evil people. You never want to meet them. Not current company excluded. Just joking, Nadia. Anyways, so yeah, and currently, I always like to build stuff too. So currently I'm building a startup in the humanoid robotic space, and mapping the ecosystem there. About a thousand robots, about 600 companies, about $300 billion of investment, and mapping all the ties and connections and all that stuff. So you'll see some stuff about that in the future, hopefully.
So Nadia, the things you write about, these are sort of human experiences. There's lots of visual storytelling involved. In terms of the pitches that people make to you, what are the things that stand out? What are the things that really turn you off? And maybe what are your more general views? I know that there's lots of discourse on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now in terms of, journalists saying, I hate when PRs do this and vice versa. So what's your general view of that relationship between journalists and PR folks?
And PR is important. And obviously I know there's a lot of PR people in this, and we're all doing our jobs, right? It's going back to what I said, we're all human. The number one thing is treat each other like we're humans. I've had horrible experiences with PR people that don't treat me like a human being, or will call me up and yell at me for something that I had nothing to do with, or it's something so my number one thing is especially for people pitching and for businesses pitching too, right? Because I deal with both PR and businesses and chefs and restaurants and people marketing themselves, right? And trying to get their stories. Know the publication and know the person that you're pitching. Don't blanket pitch. Blanket pitches are so obvious to me, and just that's another automatic delete.
Yeah.
We're all real people, and it's very obvious if you go to the homepage of NewYork.eater.com. We don't cover KFC's 15th location in Queens. Please, please, or there's also the degree of I understand you're doing your job as well. I appreciate it when someone emails me and say they are KFC's 15th location. They preface it by saying, I know y'all don't cover this, but I'm just doing my job. I'm just letting you know. The end. And that's fair. I get that. I appreciate that. I respect that. Don't follow up on that. I'm so sorry. Like, please, please. I forgot your other questions, and I'm so sorry.
Well, I think you sort of covered it. It was more, a lot of the stories that you cover involve human experiences. So is there a special approach that works with the particular stuff that you do?
It's a lot of, okay, because I know, like, obviously you have to think about our competition, and I'm part of a team. So I also like defer to the way Eater New York runs and to the way my manager likes the site to run as well. It's what appeals to me is if there's that good, like it was what John was saying, if I'm skimming this and there's a little tidbit that really stands out to me that like grabs my attention, that's probably a story. Because I feel like if I find it interesting, other people will find it interesting. A recent example of this was that I got a PR pitch about a restaurant opening by a chef who was blending Italian and Korean cuisines and techniques and threads based on he himself is Korean, but often cooked in Italian restaurants. And he wanted to create a restaurant just reflecting that. I read that and I'm like, oh, this is a story. This sounds great to me. And that's, I was treated like a human being, and it was like, I will also always ask about like if there's exclusives or like other, like that's also a thing I have to be very aware of. If another publication has an exclusive, it kind of like that means we have to think of different way of how we're going to cover it, or maybe we'll just round it up because we have to be aware of our bandwidth as well, because we're a small team. We're like a very small team, so it's something that we can't get to everything. So just being very thoughtful about that. But that was like one of my most recent examples of if there's something that really interests me, and it's really obvious if you look at my byline of like what gets me excited and what like gets excited, what Eater New York gets excited about, that's a story.
One quick follow-up with you on that. You tickled my taste buds with the KFC reference, and for the record, I think KFC tastes so much better in England than it does in the US where I now live. But that story about the 15th KFC you're not going to cover it. I'm just sort of imagining that an inventive PR might send you a bargain bucket to your desk, and at least then you might feel that, well, at least I'm going to eat this, and I feel like I owe. I imagine it's probably different for you, John, but Nadia, when you're working with sort of food and drinking things, there's probably a lot of opportunities for people sending you things to get your attention. Is that something that really happens, or is it a myth that you end up in the morning with boxes of chocolates and things?
I like, again, like we all work from home really, but there isn't a Vox Media, or it's not going to be called Vox Media if anyone's paying attention to media news. We have Eater has an office in downtown. And like, if you look on the Slack, like, yeah, they get sent a lot of stuff, like honestly, or like I do get sent a stuff, like when people get my addresses and stuff, and that's fine for like attention and things like that. And I get it why you're doing it, because you're doing the job. But I'm so sorry. It's not within the Eater New York mission statement of what we would cover. That would be very against that. Then we wouldn't be Eater New York if that's something we were to cover, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a tip for me as well is I get sent a lot of books. I run a climate podcast called 50 Shades of Green. And one piece of advice there is like, I work in climate. Don't send me lots of books. Send me a Kindle link and I might read it, but don't send lots and lots of books. John, covering fast moving sectors like AI and robotics, I guess you probably get sent less free stuff, or if you do, it's really, really cool free stuff. But I'd love to ask a broader question as well as that sort of lighthearted one, which is, you work in a space that could, love it, robotic dog. You work in an area that is, many people are really into the detail, but you also want to tell stories in a way that brings in a wider audience and sort of simplify things so it's readable for that wider audience. In terms of the pitches, should people be coming to you in the dirty detail that you're going to get, or should they be looking at presenting it in the sort of more wider, easier to consume way that the story may well soon become?
I don't think there's a hard and fast rule on that. I want to know the details. I want to understand the details. So one of the reasons I do this is because I'm fascinated by things, and so I had a chance to chat with the guy who's led research at Microsoft for 20 years in creating quantum computing. Right, and they invented a whole new state of matter, believe it or not, to build their quantum computer chips. incredible, amazing, unbelievable. That said, there has to be a so what. There has to be a what does it mean? There has to be a what does this change? What does this do? And that's the thing that will probably be like the headline or the thing that'll draw somebody into the story. Honestly, some of the things I'm most proud about in having written maybe got some thousands or 5,000 or 10,000 views or something like that. And some things that I tossed off in literally 20 minutes got 3 million or 5 million views. The magic pixie dust of the internet gets sprinkled, and sometimes amazing things get zero attention and great things get ordinary things get a ton of attention. That's why you got to be like a baseball player, both as a PR rep and as a journalist. You got to get lots of at bats, and you hope that your average is pretty decent, and sometimes you hit a grand slam, and sometimes you you hit something, a little squib to first base, and you're out instantly.
I'd love to ask a bit more about the pressure of getting those hits. I remember many years ago, I edited an LGBTQ magazine in London, and one thing that always frustrated me is I could work 3 weeks on a story about sexual health in London, and it did all right. Then I do a story about some actor in a soap who's come out as gay, and suddenly it's through the roof. What pressure are you under to get those hits? And do you sometimes do loss leaders that might get less hits, but they allow you to develop the stories that you really want to be telling?
I don't feel any pressure at all to do anything like that. I write about what I'm interested in. I write about what I'm passionate about. I don't write about things I'm not interested in. So that's the benefit of doing what I do the way I do it. I don't have a beat that, there's certain things you must cover because it's happening in the space. If I'm not passionate or interested in it, I drop it. If I'm interested in it, there we go. Let's go for it. And then it doesn't really matter, because honestly, some of the reason I do what I do is I get to chat with some brilliant, unbelievable people who are doing amazing things, and that's the most fun part of my job. Learning is kind of my superpower. Being curious is the foundation of that superpower. And so, if I ever lose my curiosity and just get, then I might as well stop doing what I'm doing, because there's no point.
We are going to be taking questions from the audience in about 10 minutes. So keep them coming through the chat. The team is picking up those questions and putting them in there. So please keep, you don't get demoted if you ask the question later. If you ask it now, it's being included in the list. I want to go into a few sort of more quick fire questions with both of you. Firstly, over to you, Nadia. Like, in terms of, I know what it's like. We've all got WhatsApp and text, and there's LinkedIn messages, and there's email, and there's a million different ways that people can communicate with you. Do you have preferences? How do you balance all these different ways? And what's your suggestion to people, and how do they pick the best way to get in contact with you?
Email is really the best way because it's the most organized. It's similar to John. Like, I keep the things, if I try my very best. I will say that I try my very best to reply back to people and try to say, like, this is not something we'll do, we'll pass. I'll try to do a sweep at the end of the day where I just like reply back to all of those emails if possible, or like I get a lot of invites. So like I'll reply back to that. Email's really best. I prefer not to be text or call, especially call. Who calls anymore? Especially in this the day of spam calls and all that stuff. Please don't text me. Please don't. Email is my preferred. Even like Instagram DMs. Like I get it with, I'm also guilty of this too. If a restaurant doesn't have like a website or an email address, I will Instagram DM if that's the only way I can get in contact with them. But my email, my eater email.
Do you add the words? Do you know who I am?
No, I used to say, please don't DM me about work in my bio, but now it doesn't fit anymore. And I do a thing now of like, if I do go on vacation, I do a please don't DM me over social media, because people have done this. Like when I was in Japan, like I'm not working. I'm so sorry. Please don't like, so that, and I try to be cognizant of this on the other end. Like I am not going to text a restaurant or a chef or a PR person, because like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know their lives. I'm not going to interrupt them. Like that. I think of it as an interruption. Work email is the way it should be. There's a reason why work email exists.
I love that. John, you work in the tech space, so I'd love to hear your take on this question.
I honestly don't really care where people get in touch with me. There are PR reps that have my phone number and they can SMS me. WhatsApp, I don't look at all the time because I'm not European, but I'm getting more there because I'm getting more and more of that. But honestly, I'm okay with getting the text if there's something urgent because I'm going to see that. Email disappears into the void and it's the Bermuda Triangle, and who knows if I'm going to see it or not see it. So, and I don't mind follow up either. Like if there's somebody who says, just want to bring this to your attention. I've written about stuff that was like 5 days past the embargo date because it was interesting to me and I wanted to dig into it. I wanted to learn about it and I wanted to write about it. And so I'm okay with doing that sort of thing. What is hilarious is somebody connects on LinkedIn and I say, oh, I'm interested, shoot me more. And then they say, what's your email address? And I'm like, dude, you connected with a journalist and got a response. You hit the freaking jackpot. Okay. You had success on this channel. Use it. Stay there. This is not hard. You're here. You're winning. Right. And so, you know, if it goes to the email, chances are I won't even see it. Right. I responded here. So stay with what's working. Now you can add that later. And obviously you need that if you're going to have like a calendar event or something like that, whatever. But if you've got something that's working, go with success.
I love that. I've been guilty of that in the past. So that piece of advice I'm going to take to the bank. It feels like something's more formal when you go to the email, but that's love that feedback. Both of you on the follow-ups, because again, this is one of those things much maligned in sort of PR Twitter, is, you know, just following up. Did you see my email? Is there a way to do a follow-up that's like not annoying, or does it not matter if the story is good?
A follow-up for a story that we would realistically cover is fine. A follow-up for something we very obviously wouldn't cover, or that is happening in a city I don't live in, is not fine, I think. And if, like, again, it's a thing of like, I have a lot of anxiety and I always feel a lot of guilt. And like, if I have your email unread, like I'm probably thinking about it right now. I'm sure there's people like in this, like I owe emails too. So like a follow-up once is fine. And if I have engaged with it, like follow up on that. But if not, it's probably, I would move on maybe. And that's on my fault and that's on me if it's a story that I'm missing out on.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. You feel guilt about that. I don't feel guilt about that because we're under assault. I mean, like we're getting assaulted from all directions. The fire is heavy, and so I feel no guilt about just deleting something instantly. I'm protecting my sanity essentially.
I feel huge guilt, but I also realize that there's nothing I can do about it when there's a million things coming from different angles. I just hope that people over time realize it's nothing personal. But there we are. Also, we sort of touched on this a bit earlier. Maybe it's a bit technical, but in terms of like the boring stuff, but the boring stuff is often so useful. The email, the format, how it's phrased, what's in there. Are there do's and don'ts on a very specific technical layer? Let's go to you first, John, and then go to Nadia.
Be brief. Tell me what you're telling me. Don't butter me up. Don't say, I read your last article, it was freaking amazing. Or I saw you did an interview with so-and-so. Thank you so much. That was great. Wonderful. I don't care. I literally don't care. I don't care. What's going on? What's interesting? What's cool? Is something amazing? Tell me about it. I want to know what's amazing.
Nadia.
It's exactly that. I want to be able to glance through the email, know where the thing is that you're talking about takes place, because you'd be surprised how many places will email me and I have just no idea where it is. And then I scroll to the bottom or have to click through and realize, oh, it's happening in Chicago. I don't actually care about this. What it is, when it is, and what is like, it's the elevator pitch. Like, what is the thing that makes it a thing? If it is like a general, you'd be actually surprised too. A lot of like, whatchamacallit, we obviously get a lot of press releases about opening restaurants and stuff with like all the details in the press release, but they don't include photos. include photos if you're going to send like an actual press release. It is frustrating, especially like we do our heat maps or and things like that. Like, and if I'm going to update a place, like I want to be able to just go to my email and find that photo instead of realizing, oh, I was supposed to email to ask about this photo. That's a little frustrating. Include all the information that you need from the get-go.
And I just saw a follow-up from one in the chat asking, do you prefer embedded photos or links?
Links that don't expire. Because that's the, like, it's even if I'm not going to like necessarily, like you'd be surprised. Like even if like, oh gosh, this happens all the time. Like if, say there's like a restaurant that has, I'm looking at cookies right now. I've obviously have cookies on my wall. Like about like a specific cookie, right? And it opened like maybe last year, but then I'm writing a story about cookies now. I was like, oh wait, there was that place that had a really great cookie. I didn't download the photo because also our photo system is like very disorganized. I would like to go back to my email and find that photo and be able to use it again. But then if it's defunct, that sucks.
I'm gonna ask a final question, to the same question to both of you, and then I'm gonna go to the questions from the group. And Nadia, you mentioned earlier that you when you were in Texas, you met the editor, and that led to the role that you've got. And so I'd love to touch on with both of you the role of personal interaction with people, not just in terms of getting a job and a career, but in terms of building relationships with individuals who you will work with to provide stories and things like that. So Nadia, maybe if you go first, I don't know if you want to expand a little bit more on the people connection.
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm clearly very much a people person, and I feel like it's everyone has their different personas. We are different online than we are in text message or video or anything. So it's nice to like connect in a real way with other people, even if it's about like other editors, other writers, other chefs and restaurant, like cooks and bartenders, and like PR people or marketing people, because it goes back to the like, we're all real people. Like this is like real people. We're not just like it's not a transactional relationship. Yeah. We can talk about things. We can talk about the Knicks or like World Cup or Taylor Swift's wedding. Like it's, you know, there's
not Taylor Swift's wedding.
I will talk about Taylor Swift's wedding. My poster. But like, you know, we're all real people. So there's that, like, it's nice to like, it's that like, oh gosh, it's like seeing a teacher out in the work and like outside of the classroom, right? Like we're all like,
what do you call them? They have a first name.
I don't know. You know, so it's but it also does have, I do feel like it's something that can't be forced. It's something that it should ideally happen organically. But that's a hard thing to make happen in this day and age where like every time is limited, people's bandwidths are limited. It's, you know, it's happenstance, man. I don't know.
The one thing I'll add to that is that relationships matter. So if I recognize a name, that matters. That comes out of the pile of the 500 emails that are in the inbox or whatever it is, right? So it doesn't mean necessarily you get a reply. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a yes or anything like that. But if I recognize a name and you've brought me stuff before that's interesting and good, then I'm gonna at least, you know, it's a few notches above. Let's put it that way. And so that matters. And you said relationships matter, people matter. Absolutely. I remember people who send me interesting things. So that's a good thing.
I remember once I worked for a nonprofit which was looking at poverty, and the strategy with the media team was very much like, be responsive, be the most responsive, helpful team, so the journalists know if they need something quickly, you will get them that stat, you'll get a quote if they need it. This was the TV broadcaster once called up because they said, look, we need some help. We need some footage of someone looking at a gas bill, and our truck is nearby where you live. Would you mind so we send someone over, you open a bill, your face won't be in it, and it's a weird request, but I'd got such a rapport with them and they felt they could ask. And I said, yeah. So this massive TV truck comes outside my house. The neighbors think there's been a murder. Like, why is there a big TV truck in the street? And they just film me opening a bill. And I remember for about 3 years, every time there was a story about fuel poverty or what have you, it was always me opening up my fuel bill. So
I recognize those hands.
Oh, those hands. These are that, yeah. Okay, let's go to some questions. Oh, both of you, I'm going to ask on this as well in terms of the personal relationships. Are you a let's meet for a coffee or let's meet for a beer or wine?
Neither. If I'm traveling, fine, great. But if I'm at home, guess what? I'm working. I have things going on. Let's meet up means 2 hours out of my day. It means a massive productivity, gap or hole. I assume that's different for you, Nadia, because you're like writing about restaurants, and so you have to have local experience there.
For me, it's it depends on if it's honestly place dependent. If it's a place that's on my long list of places I need to go to, let's do it. But also just be very, again, people know this. I try really hard, especially I don't plan things over the weekends. And I try to go into the city at least like just maximum twice a week. So that means I am scheduling into like late July at this point. So just know that and it has to be something like if we're actually going to be working together, if there's something that is relevant for what we're doing, just I'll try my best to meet with people because I do think that's important. I try to triple duty it at the same time and I try to batch visits into the city and stuff like that to make it worth my time.
Good advice there that I try and take on board myself sometimes. Okay, let's go to some questions from the audience. Question from Ali Goldberg. What is your method for creating unique angles on trending news? I try to think of unique angles for my pitches. I often focus on proactive pitching, and it's so hard for me. I want to channel my inner journalist and be more of a helpful source. That question's to both of you.
Don't have an instant answer. I mean, I'm going to look at it if I'm interested, and if I'm interested, I'm going to read it, and then I might write about it. That the unique angle that'll come to me somehow, sui generis. I don't know, just out of the blue. I'm not sure. I will see things in a slightly different angle than others will, and that's my perspective on whatever this thing is. So, but then sometimes I'll switch it up. Right? I do find sometimes PR reps have the perfect, that is the story. It's massive brand, big number, significant impact, and that's a headline that's going to work usually, right? I mean, Google blows its nose in its news, right? But I usually I have to invent it, and sometimes it comes to me after I've written the story.
Oh, Nadia, you might be on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh gosh, embarrassing. For me, it's this is such a great question because it's okay. It is knowing the publication, but also knowing the writers. So if you know me, I do a lot of pop culture and restaurant intersections. So I'll bring it back to Taylor Swift, and I'm so sorry. So Taylor Swift is supposedly getting married at MSG, which is such a tacky place to get married. Sorry if I'm blowing it.
Madison Square Garden. I did not know that.
Apparently, I don't know, man. It's
how lame is that?
I don't even know. But okay, so no natural light and inside. I get it with the paparazzi, but no, whatever.
That's horrible. Let's just agree. That's horrible.
We'll find out. But okay, so and then I was talking with my editor-in-chief, who's we talk about Taylor Swift often again. But what a good angle would be is once we get if there is a wedding, if we get the details on who's catering or what restaurants are involved with this, come Monday, or I'm going to reach out to these places and see if they can talk afterwards after everything is done, because I'm sure they signed an NDA, and talk about it. And that's a unique angle that is very suited, if you know me very well. That's a very Nadia story to write about food and this. And I mean, it's Yeah, it's again, you have to know the publication, and you have to know get to know the writers, the bylines that you're seeing, especially if it's a staff publication. Like at Eater, like I am your pop culture girly. Bettina over at .com, she does a lot of really amazing, insightful trend pieces, like, you know, national trend pieces that are tied to New York. Get to know the writers, get to know the publications, really. Again, and it's like kind of silly that I have to keep saying this because the blanket pitches aren't working. And I know like everyone's doing like their work, but like know who you're pitching and know what you're pitching. And you'll more than likely get a response to that, even if it's something maybe ultimately doesn't become a story, but that's an interaction in itself. One of my favorite.
No, please finish your thought.
Well, one of my favorite pitches that I ever got was that so catered to me was when I was in Austin. Ethan Hawke directed a new movie that and Ethan Hawke is like an Austin boy. The PR pitched me saying, hey, what if we do this thing where Ethan Hawke takes you to his favorite Austin places with him and the star of his movie, and we talk about the places and talk about the movie. It's one of my most favorite. It's like such a random thing, but like it was just so perfectly catered and unique that it's, you know, like that was such a beautiful thing. And it made sense because of the Austin of it all. It wasn't like a random city. He has Austin ties.
I love that. That sounds fun. Okay, I've got another question here from Jenny Collette. How have large language models changed the type of pitches that you get? And how do you feel or respond when you get a pitch that looks AI generated?
I'm sure it increases the number of pitches that we're getting. Honestly, I haven't noticed a huge number from that. Now, maybe I'm just stupid and didn't notice it. That's possible. Maybe it's that the people who typically pitch me, I know them and I know their names. And so I understand their personality. So I'm not seeing anything like that. It's pretty interesting because I don't really care about, like Nadia does care, and that's great. I don't really care about personalizing the pitch to me except for my interest categories and stuff like that. I'm just really focused on what is the cool thing that's happening here. And I would suspect that if you would use an agent or some LLM to more personalize it along the lines of what Nadia was asking, that could be a good thing if you do it with a light touch, because it's so much work for a PR rep to like personalize a pitch for one journalist. And guess what? She's off that day, or she's busy that day, or that whole week is toast. And you spent like an hour crafting this perfect pitch and it's like, nothing happened, right? And so you have to do that 25 times, because I don't know what your success rate is, but I don't think you're batting 300 most of the time, right? So yeah, it's challenging out there.
Nadia, what do you think on that one?
I agree. I understand. It's a line. It's threading that line. It depends. Like if it's someone that I have a relationship with already, like that's easier said than done. It's again, like that's why I feel my guilt. I know everyone's doing their jobs. Like that's you know.
It isn't related this to pitching, but certainly on applying for jobs, the thing that really, really grinds my bones is AI cover letters. And it's like, you know, when we post a communications job, I will get over 150 applications. And as a manager, I read every single cover letter we get before looking at the CV to give everyone a chance.
You are far too diligent.
But you know, the amount of times you can find real talent in the cover letter because it shows the personality. But I tell you what, about 80% of them are AI written. And when you work in communications, not only can I tell immediately if it's AI, I can tell which AI program you've used. There are like 3, because every single one is identical. The paragraph talking about how they care about inclusivity and diversity is always in paragraph 3. I know every single thing is the same. It's like not even looking at the CV. Use the comms job. So just a bit of advice there. Don't use AI for cover letters. We will find you out. Question
that brings up a point. That brings up a point, Adam, and that is sometimes I just make myself more quirky than I ordinarily would be to try and just like get away from the pablum of AI generated nonsense.
I've stopped using hyphens, and I love hyphens. So that's
I
something I'm
know.
gonna-
I absolutely love breaking off little bits of thought inside those, and you can't do it anymore. I hate that. I'm so pissed off by that. There's your little rant, mini rant.
Medini Kumar asks, related to communications, is Twitter/X dead in terms of reaching out to reporters and tagging stories? I know some folks migrated to Blue Sky, but I haven't seen a similar level of use as Twitter back in the day. Nadia, over to you first.
It's sad. It's like RIP when Twitter was good. I was lamenting this yesterday with coworkers because of like, there was just such a beautiful communal aspect of Twitter. Yeah, it's the like, I try to share, like on a personal level, I share everything on all the various social medias that exist now, but like the return or the engagement isn't there in that same way. And it hurts my heart a little, especially as someone who grew up when like Twitter was good. It goes back to the like, oh man, and I've gotten jobs through Twitter too. Like that's crazy to think about. Or like pitches and stuff. Like I built relationships on Twitter. I don't know if it's that same way anymore. I like if you reply to me like it's again, I do get stuff on Instagram. Instagram is where I have a lot more of my engagement because Instagram is like that's the next Twitter in the line, like what I think. So like I prefer like it depends on who you are. If it's someone that like I have a relationship with, like just email me. If it's like a brand new restaurant that's opening that doesn't know what they're doing necessarily, Instagram is fine. Like it's,
How about LinkedIn? Not in terms of messaging, but in terms of if you see something that's
all the
newsworthy,
foodies are on LinkedIn all the time. They just spend all their time on LinkedIn. Instagram's dead. I mean, it's all LinkedIn. LinkedIn is good for me. Works for me.
And I mean, John, maybe go into a little bit more sort of detail on that. Like the demise of Twitter is the field that you're in. Are you using other platforms as well? How does it work from your side?
Yeah, I'm trying to use a lot of other stuff, right? Like I didn't use Twitter for a long time after it became X, and I've sort of come back to it a little just because I'm on Threads and sometimes get some amazing engagement there, but it's almost all politics content that seems to work on Threads. And I'm on Blue Sky and on Mastodon, and the critical mass just isn't really there. I feel dirty every time I go on X. I had a paid account. I stopped that because I don't want to support the kind of people that own X and give them money. But if you're there, you're actually supporting in terms of ad revenue, even to some tiny degree. So it feels shitty. But, sometimes you got to hold your nose and eat with the devil, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. The final question I've got before handing over for the surprise announcement, the Impact Communications Institute announcement. I love
$1 million
this
for
question.
everybody.
$1 million for everyone. This is a question from Alicia Collier. Alicia, this is a brilliant question. I love it. I think a lot of other people are going to love this too. At a PR agency, we often advise clients when something may not yet have a strong enough news hook for pitching, but clients can be protective over their own announcements and see more news value than the journalist and us might. From your perspective, what are the clearest signs that a pitch isn't strong enough yet, and how can PR teams better explain that gap to clients in a way that's grounded in newsroom reality? And as a comms person, it's not just PR agencies that get this, it's comms teams speaking to the senior management team as well. Nadia, you take this away first.
This is such a great question because I've heard this even from like friends or like PR people will tell me like afterwards, like they'll follow up on something they emailed and say like, hey, I know you're not going to cover this, but I can't convince them to like otherwise. I feel
I'm sorry.
No, and I feel for y'all because it is, again, it's, I answer to the editor-in-chief and my publisher, like y'all are answering, you do have to listen to your clients and ideally your clients are paying you to tell them how to do this right. And it sucks if they don't listen to y'all, like, because y'all are the ones that know better. So that's just a learning curve that I think I don't even know what like a clear sign if a pitch isn't strong enough, if it's very generic, if I know that everyone is getting it at the same time, because then I'll start seeing the same publications publishing the same things. And it's, Yeah, it's because you got to just it's trying to tell them like this, how to be realistic, but like also people are stubborn. It's
Yeah.
so that's a really tough position to be in. And I don't envy that.
Everyone thinks their story is amazing. But John, what's your reflection?
You asked what's a clear sign of that? For me, it's a long pitch because you have to work so hard to make this seem interesting, big, and newsworthy. If something really is newsworthy, you can be really, really brief with it. It can be really, really obvious. It can be really, really interesting in just a paragraph or two. So that's a big kind of sign that there's something there. The other thing is it's not awful to say, hey, working on some stuff from this company. They're doing really cool stuff. They're not ready to share all the details yet. Just FYI, this is kind of the space they're in, kind of what they're doing. I'm going to come back to you in a month when they actually have real news. That kind of pre-warms it up, right? And so I'm totally fine with that. That almost has to be from somebody that I have a relationship with and have seen stuff before and have some level of trust on that.
I could speak about this all day long, but I know you're two incredibly busy people, and I just want to thank you so much for giving your time and your thoughts. You know, Impact Communications Institute is about sharing these things so that everyone can learn and share, so that we can all be better at our jobs and make communications more impactful. So huge appreciation to both of you. I really enjoyed this. I picked up so many top tips there, and I hope everyone else did as well. So big virtual or real like round of applause for Nadia and John there. And with that, I'm now going to hand over to ICI Co-Executive Director Tessa and Anne, and our Member Experience Lead. I stumbled that line up there, but I'm just going to hand over to Tessa and Anne, who's going to speak about this in a much better way than I do. But thanks so much for joining us, and stay with us the next few minutes for the big announcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, John. Thank you, Nadia. That was amazing. Chat was popping off the whole time, and I learned so much too. I'm so excited to share this news with you. It's been something we've been hiding at the ICI for a while now, but it's time for this baby to be born.
Okay, so I can't pin you. Please pin yourself real quick. It's not letting me for some reason before you make your announcement.
Melissa,
I'm trying.
I'm
trying.
Momentum.
Okay.
No, I can't, but that's okay. So back to the drum roll. We are officially announcing the launch of the ICI Circle. So this is a brand new dedicated membership community built specifically for impact-driven communicators like all of us in this space. So what's really cool about it is we've heard from you all that you are interested in connecting directly. This is a way for you to do that. This is a way for you to engage with our resources more easily. This is a way for you to share your shameless plugs. That's my favorite channel. And also seek job opportunities and share opportunities, connecting them with communicators who understand what impact communications is and how to practice it, and those who are still learning. So we're really creating this space to change the experience of navigating media relations, climate storytelling, systemic change. Especially if you're a solo practitioner or if you're an emerging communicator, this can feel like an uphill battle. So join us. Instead of listening to me talk about it, I would love to for you to hear from Melissa, my co-executive director here at the ICI. And so she'll talk briefly about it, and then we might get to hear from someone in the community too.
Hello. Pardon me. Hello, everyone. Apologies for interrupting the drum roll. I am super excited to see many new faces today. I won't take up much time. I feel like Tessa covered a lot of it, but again, we created this community and this platform because this kind of education wasn't available to us when we were starting our careers in impact comms. And we're very excited to learn with you and see you offline in between our impact councils. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Impact Councils are our flagship event. We have historically only met in this in this context on these live sessions. And now we have a Circle community. There's 2 tiers, and membership is free. Everybody can join. Our goal has always been to make it accessible. And then there's a pro tier, which is only $10 a month, again, keeping it accessible, but allowing folks to join office hours and things like that in between with some of our speakers. So, and I don't know if we were going to screen share or do a very quick tour or test run, but there is a link here with a landing page that can show you all what are the different benefits to joining our community. And I look forward to seeing you in the Circle. And
I know we're short on time here. Do you want to do community stories, or shall I do a really quick little preview here?
Let's do a rapid fire preview.
All right, let me share my screen here and see if I can do this really quick. Let me find my screen here. Okay, perfect. So as Melissa was just saying, we have kind of 2 tiers to our membership, and that's reflected here in Circle, which hosts our new virtual community. So like all of the social media platforms that we've been talking about today, you have a feed, which is just the aggregate of all the spaces that you're part of. And you can see introductions from some of our early members who have been there for like a week now. We have just done a quiet preview. And so now we're opening up to all of our members. When you join, you get, oh, now it's freezing, a little introduction to the Impact Comms Institute and this community, as well as our guidelines. This is sort of your first foray into Circle. Introductions, this is really where our community is beginning to take shape. You get a sense of who's in here, who you can learn from, who you can share knowledge with. It's so nice to see faces and our members showing up in this space. ICI News, your bulletin, how you know what's up, what's next, what's happening at ICI, and similarly upcoming events. So if you like this Impact Council and you want to attend the next one, it'll appear. And so this one and all of the spaces on the left above are open and free to every member of ICI. This is accessible to all. Moving down here to the member circle and the practice library, this is where we get into the pro membership, and these spaces are only available to our pro members. So a member directory, peer support, where if you do need some help and maybe you would ask AI or Google, come to Circle. This is where you'll find like senior strategists and mentors and like get real live support from people who probably have been in your position. Opportunities and RFPs is pretty obvious. Shameless plugs. Tessa, I know you love this place, but really it's like, what are you up to? Share it with the world. Tell us what you're proud of. And then tools and resources, like what's that template that you've been using that's been really helpful, someone else could probably benefit. Event recordings, like today's event will appear here after the event. And then our monthly forum, exclusive to ICI Pro members. Like the monthly office hours, we have a really actually kind of a companion office hours to this one with Fabiana coming up in August. So that was like a really quick tour. Back to you, Tessa.
Thank you, Anne. That was amazing. It's why we love you. It's why you are our member experience lead. I will sum up by saying registration is now open. The link is in the chat. We want to see you there on Circle. We want to see you in those events for members only. And of course, we want to see you at the next Impact Council. So thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. Loved the chat. Love to see you all. And I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Take good care.